Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Gentry's Journey. I am Carolyn Coleman, and our honored guest is Mr. Thomas Ware. Um, I'm going to start off with an inspirational scripture like I normally do. Above all, clothe yourself with love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. And that comes from Colossians 3 and 14. Now, Mr. Ware has many titles, and one of those is he's a pastor. So, so forgive me. He's a mental health advocate. He's a singer and a songwriter. He's going to tell us about himself, his journey, and I also have some questions about him. His most current release is Letting It Go. And he says it's a crossover hit. So he's going to tell us about that. He's going to speak about his profession as a mental health advocate, a singer, and a songwriter, and being on the billboards for his releases. So I am interested in definitely hearing about that. How do you get to where you are, singer, songwriter, mental health advocate? So he has a lot of tools in his toolbox, and he's going to open up and tell us about those things. All right, Pastor Ware, take it away.
Absolutely. Where should I start?
Start with your background. Start with your background. You're a
My
husband.
background.
Yeah, you're a husband. You're a dad. Start with that, and then just work your way through.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm a husband. I've been married to my wife, Tiffany Ware. It's coming on to 16 years now. We have four children, three boys and one girl. And we work together in everything that we do. We're in ministry together. She is a pastor as well. She and I have businesses together that we employ a lot of people, and we do a lot of things within the community with helping individuals, a lot of counseling with marriages and even single counseling. There's a lot of things that we do. I tell you, the list goes on and on when it comes to that area of my life with my wife and my children and my family. We have a church in Mineola, Florida, the Uncommon Faith Center, and the church is it's a church filled with people from a lot of different places, different ethnicities, backgrounds, different experiences in life, and we've been blessed to have them in our life and be able to lead in the ministry and their walk with Christ. It's been amazing as far as going from that to when it comes to the mental health areas of life. One of the things that I have kind of engulfed myself in being a pastor, a lot of times it's frowned upon to view any other area of your walk in life outside of Christ or outside of the teachings of Scripture. But we see a lot of times in a lot of places, even within Scripture, where Jesus did not just deal with people on a level of their spiritual walk, but he also dealt with people in their carnal walk as well. And so it really did do a lot of good for me to take a step back and view people holistically, because we are spiritual as well as physical. And a lot of the things that we experience physically in life, mentally in life, that it's been written in our memory forever, what we've been through, whether it be trauma, different things of that nature. And these things stick with us for the rest of our life. And a lot of times we never deal with it. So I love to approach ministry from a standpoint of, yes, we do deal with the spiritual being, because we know that with this, what's in us is what comes out of us. So if we can become healthy on the inside, our actions can become healthy on the outside. And that takes more than just a prayer. It takes also walking with us people and actually being able to talk with people, get people to open up and speak about the things that they've been through and deal with those things so that they can start on more of a clean slate. Even in their spiritual walk, they can see things from a true and a realistic place. So those are some of the things that the journey has kind of taken me through in my ministry, but then it flows into my music ministry as well. I didn't want to just do songs that were songs. I do some songs that are were very gospel based background. It sounds like gospel music. It sounds like the traditional sound of gospel music. But then there is, I feel that music is such, I think the word would be a conduit for the gospel to enter in to people's mind and their lives, and the messages that we send when we listen to the things that are played through, I would say, secular music. On some scales of secular music, it is very, very harmful for people mentally. And so we see the actions of the groupies and the fans of rappers and different artists that put out a negative message, how this music enters into people. And no matter what side of the globe you go on, the people who listen to that music, they dress the same, they look the same, they act the same. And we begin to understand that there's a spirit attached to music. It's able to be taken through the sound. And so, with the sound of gospel, I wanted to be able to use this moment that my gift wasn't just for a shouting good time, but it was also an avenue to enter in as an evangelistic tool. It might not, some of my songs don't sound like traditional gospel, but the message of the gospel enters into the ears of people of how the healing of God and how the healing is accessible. And those are the things that I focus on when it comes to music. I really do want to be a tool that that I'm not here just to entertain, but I'm here for ministry's sake. And if people can be healed, or if they can be made whole, or there can be some form of a beginning place for them, and my music has something to do with it, that's where I come in at, and I feel that that's my calling to the gift that God has given me. So the song "Letting It Go" is a song that was actually, I did not script this song out to be written as a song at first. I really was in the middle of praise and worship at my church, and we had just got finished doing a worship set singing, and the musician kept kind of just the atmosphere of worship. Everyone in there was worshiping. And all of a sudden, I began to hear in my spirit the words, everything that's holding me down, I'm letting it go. And I began to sing the song in worship. It came out. I never thought about writing a song. It just came out in worship. And people began to cry, and you just heard a sound in the house where people were just sobbing and singing the song with us. So after that, I went forward and I went and recorded it. I said, man, this is actually a good song. And I let some people hear it, and I let my radio guys hear it, and they said, man, this is a smash hit. So we went back into the studio and actually fine tuned it and finalized it. Damon Stewart, one of the radio guys that works closely with me from IGA Talent, digital IGA Talent Management, man, he said, the song, we went back and forth on pieces of the song that we could really fine tune the message. So we went back and forth for months of this until we came up with the finished version of the song. And this is what we've released, and it's actually taken a stronghold inside of the music industry. And as so many people have given testimonies and have sent messages, and they've done videos and all type of things throughout social media as well, with this song being their I go-to song to kind of get them through the day. Some people say they start off in the morning with this song. just to remind them that they've been given this power by God that they can actually get past a lot of the things that they haven't let go of. So that's what takes me through the journey now to this point, um, where I am. And when it comes to Billboard, I never really planned on or even thought about this song really reaching the level that it's reached. I really think that it's kind of a testimony that when God tells you, when He gives you something, and you're a good steward of what He's given you, that He's the author and the real finisher of our faith. That the thing that He has started, He that has started this good thing, He will see it, and it will see it to completion. And that's what I see in this song. He started this. He created this and started this piece, and I know that He'll bring it to fruition. He'll bring it to its fullness. And so that's where I'm at right now with everything. From there, I guess we could kind of daisy chain in from music to I do so many things. I have so many hats. Um, I I dabble inside of the industry of movies. I'm a writer, script writer, as well as a director. Um, as well, when it comes to that, as well as an author. So I kind of been blessed with a lot of gifts. I guess you could say. A lot of times for me, it seems as if though these gifts can really seem to be, I would say, a torment in so many ways. It's tormenting in so many ways because I have so many things that I hear
Sure.
that I want to get out. And it's like you just got to get it out. And it's like continues to give me new songs almost every day. And so I'm often in studio recording new songs, but at the same time, I'm writing, when it comes to like writing scripts for movies, writing books, writing things. I'm always doing something creative. Whatever God gives me, I try to get it out because I feel like we only have a certain amount of time
That's true.
here, just a certain amount of time here. And you don't want to be a vessel. If God gives it to you, you have to act on it immediately. Let it out. Put it out there. Write it, sing it, whatever it is. You have to take advantage of the moment because He didn't give it to you for no reason. He gave it to you because there is, even if it's not for this moment, it's gonna reach someone in the moment that it's needed.
I
And
agree. I agree.
yeah. And it's like, if you're faithful and you do what He's given you, it's gonna show somewhere down the road why He gave it to you. And that's been the story of my life. And I think I try my best to be a good steward and be faithful to what God gives me.
That's a blessing. And Pastor, I often tell people or even encourage myself by saying God's perfect timing.
Yes.
You have to, you can have it today, but this may not be the day that this needs to come out, be released, or be said.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
God's perfect timing comes around, He will let you know that you can go ahead and release this, say this to this individual, or put it on paper. So I agree with that totally. And sometimes you're so full, you have so much you want to say, you have so much you want to do, but you have to kind of slow down for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
refocus, and say, now, which one is of the urgency, or which one, when will I release this? When will I put this in print? When will I do that? You have a lot. Sometimes I do understand. Sometimes it's just overwhelming, as you say.
Yeah. Yeah.
You feel like it's a little bit of an urgency to it. But in the end, it's God's perfect timing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And just to piggyback off what you were saying about secular music, to a degree, the rap and things of that nature. There's a spirit that goes with everything that's, that is song, that is put out. And
Yeah.
I was at work one day and somebody was saying, yeah, my nephew, he wants to be a rapper. And I'm like, yeah, I think a lot of people want to be, but they see the glam, but they don't
Yes.
see the struggle.
Yes.
And they
Yeah.
don't realize there's a price to pay. Not going to call any names, but we have some famous rappers. I said, they're not out here trying to gang bang. They're out here trying to count their money.
Yes.
They're trying
Yes.
to live a life, quality life. So you have to think about putting that out there as well.
Yes.
That might be what they portray, but is that really who they are? They
Right.
left life behind. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully
Yeah.
that you will catch that before you get too far down the road and not be able to do that. Live a quality life.
Right. It will swallow you up.
Oh, I could, yes.
Yeah. That
Absolutely.
world, it will swallow you up. Before I started doing gospel music, I was in the secular side of music for a very long time. And I did tours with a lot of the big rap artists. And I did pretty well, but it's just, if you're not, and I feel for like me, kind of like for me, I kind of came out of a rough, I kind of had a rough life living. My life was kind of rough living. So I was very, very familiar with life, street life, and things of that nature. But I see a lot of young people who are not really from that world. And because they want the glam, they want to be fit into that scene, they get swallowed up and they lose who they are. And unfortunately, some of them never come back. Some of them never make it out of it once they're in it. So it's like, it's the spirit. It really is. It's a spirit, and it's the way that um, we have to be. So, a lot of people don't believe in spiritual warfare, and there is constantly a war for your soul in life. And if you're not careful, you can easily have it snatched away.
And that is true.
Yeah.
It's like our parents used to tell us trouble is easy to get in, but it's hard to get out of.
Yeah.
But and my mom always says when we were growing up, she would say, and praise God, she's still with us. If you're gonna copy something good.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Because there's a lot you can copy out here,
Yes.
but copy something.
Yes.
Good. So
Absolutely.
so it has to do as you say, with your environment.
Yes.
You can be around 10 people and only 9 are for you.
Come on now.
Because it's just a crowd, it's just a group, and when you get to this certain point in life, you recognize, as the title of your song goes, letting it go. There are some things and some people you're going to have to let go in order to advance to that next level.
Reach.
And that praise God.
Yes.
That you're going to have to let them go, because when you really look back, they're holding you back. They want you to stay just where they are, but everybody can have a piece of something. Everybody can have a piece of the pie. Everybody can have something that's a little bit better than what you have. Not that you don't have better at this point in time, because everybody does not come from a socioeconomic background that is, for lack of a better term, lower.
Right.
Everybody does not come from that, but the same people who come from a higher socioeconomic background can get in as much trouble as someone else.
Yes.
Someone told me many years ago, where they have the money to buy as much trouble as they want. And it hit me. I was like, that's true. That's very, very true. So
Yeah.
it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's the desire of what you really want.
One of the things that I witnessed when I was in the life, in the world heavy, one of the things that I witnessed was that it was the individuals who came from great homes with money and didn't really have to work or anything. They were the ones fighting to prove they could live in the worst conditions.
Yeah.
And it's like they just they just thought it was cool. But from what they heard through music and everything else, they wanted to live a certain image, have a certain lifestyle that associated them with the bad boys. And so and that unfortunately it happens a lot. And most of us would say to each other and like that person, they got everything they want. Why are they here? You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
why, wondering why are they even where we are when they had everything that we wanted. So but that's kind of like that that peer pressure verse and also what's seen as popular
I
through,
agree. I agree with you.
yeah, what's seen as popular is powerful. You have to really, when you think about the imagery, I think about how Satan took Jesus up to the top of the kingdoms. He said, "All of this is mine. I'll give it all to you." And it was amazing that he came to tempt him with the one thing that Jesus had in common with the world, which was the body that he was in, the sins of the flesh. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Of lusting for things, but he didn't find it in Jesus. He thought that just because Jesus was packaged in this body, that he would be affected by the body, but he wasn't. But that's the same trickery that Satan uses on humanity as a whole. If that is in you and you wish to be popular, you wish to be higher than others, or place, he'll offer you all of that, just because he knows that that's what you'll bite on. And so that's been the trick for ages, and we still see it. And most of our young people right now are affected by what they see. They paint this picture that this is who's you have to be a person that is cool in order for life to be good. And when you get middle age and up in age, you start to realize none of that stuff really matters. At least some people do. I mean, we still have a great deal of people who, even in middle age and up in age, they still are fixated on imagery and hoping that the world sees them as big people, and so sad as it is, I really do. My heart goes out to people when I see them falling from that type of trickery, and I just wasn't taught. I wasn't taught growing up. I wasn't taught to look for to live a life or look a certain way just to be praised. My
Agree.
father used to always draw this little diagram for us when we were young. It was called Mr. Bugle, and he would draw a bugle on the ground. He would draw a little man where you blow into the bugle, and he would draw a big man where the sound came out. And he said, you could be one of these people in life. You can either be the big man at the end where the sound comes at, and the bugle is the journey of life. When you get finished traveling through it, you'll come out smaller than life. But
Wow.
if you live humble like the small man and you travel through life, by the time you get to the end, you'll be larger than life. But you have to stay humble. And so, with that, it's always lived with me through everything that I've been. I've never really ever been a person that wanted people to just praise me or just needed all the attention. I've just never been that way because I was taught different, growing up. So yeah, it's unfortunately everybody isn't really in that mindset. You see it so many places. People are so arrogant and um, narcissistic,
Yeah.
and they have so many negative traits, but that just focus on self. And I just don't believe that that's a good place to be at with humanity, especially in this generation.
I agree with you. There are some people, like you say, they're middle age and they're running around as though they are 17 to 25. You'd be like, who wants to go back there? You need to grow, you need to be an example for someone.
Oh yeah,
That is ridiculous.
yeah.
And everybody at 17 is not off their mark. Don't get me wrong.
But we get
We have
it.
a
We
lot
get
of
what you're
scholars,
saying. Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
yeah,
be an example, a good example.
yeah.
And I'm seeing things and hearing things that I don't like to hear or see, where adults,
Yes.
when I was growing up, no, you couldn't come in when the adults were talking. You can, even if you were sitting on the porch and all the adults came off the porch, you had to go in the yard.
Go
That
somewhere.
was not
Yep.
gonna, that was not gonna happen.
Right.
And we did it as because that's what we were taught. As we got older, we realized, you don't get in grown for business,
Right.
but I'm seeing now the reversal of that.
Oh my God.
And it leaves you awestruck that you need to be a leader, mom. You need to be a leader, grandma, grandpa, granddad,
Yes.
big
Yeah.
brother, uncle. You need to be a leader. And you're not leading if you're sitting with your kids gossiping. You're
Right.
not leading if you're sitting with your children and y'all passing it around.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pass, come on.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You
Somebody
really
has to be the
do.
adult here. Somebody has to say stop.
Yeah.
And then you want to be respected at one day. What day?
Right.
Wait a minute. And
Right.
you don't want to be respected tomorrow. Come on, you should have
Right.
you should have cut that snake's head off the moment. And so some
Yes.
things still need to be separated.
Yes. Yeah. And I see that, it's not, you don't understand it when you're children, but you really do get an opportunity to see why. After you become an adult and you have children, you get a chance to see why your parents did what they did. When it came to that and how serious they were about you not mouthing off and being in the middle of grown folk business. Go to the other room, go to your bed, wherever you need to go, but don't sit up here and talk with us and like you an adult. And that I understand now more than I've ever understood now that I'm an adult. But I do see the adults who, my God, you go on social media, you see adults that in their 40s, 50s, and they are right in competition with these young people. And, at some point, you just kind of say to yourself, man, who raised these people?
Hey, shoot, where you come
Yeah,
from?
where you come from? I have one of my son's friends. Her son, he's about, I think he's only like 6 years old, and he'll be sitting there, and if a kid, if someone comes in that's not from around us, not part of our group, he'll tap you on the leg and he'll say, "Where he come from?" Just out of nowhere, he just goes like, "Where he come from?" And that is so funny, but that's what you wonder when you see the stuff you see. Like, where these people come from? Like, I never would have survived childhood. Like, if I'd have been the way some of these people are, my parents would have took my head off. I just don't understand. I don't understand. The adults are just like the kids, and this generation is so in need of leadership. You said it. You really did say the key word. It's so in need of leadership, and that goes for like homes, like individual homes and families. Somebody has to step up and be the leader for the families in this generation, because without a leader, we see chaos, and there's no real rules being laid down in the home anymore. No respect. You don't see, and what we see in the street is what comes from homes. that are already out of order.
I agree.
So yeah, so all I do, all we could do is pray. I know, but it takes so much, sometimes to drop a seed in people's lives so that they can kind of open their eyes and see where we are now.
I agree with you. And I appreciate that segment. Honestly, I do. It's so, I don't know how we got so far away from that, and everybody's not that way. We know that. We know that there's rules, there's regulations in a lot of parents' homes. But on the other hand, you find it's not in some, because I have friends and relatives that are in the educational system, and not that that's a bad thing. Kids have to learn, but
Right.
when the parent is dropping the child off at school and they know the child is sick, and then they won't answer the phone when the instructor and the counselor have discovered that they're sick, they pick them up at the end of the day because they won't answer the phone. They know what the
They
deal
know. They
is.
already know.
They already know. Then they bring them back the next day, still sick. And you're like,
Yeah.
what type of
Sad.
parenting
It's
is going
sad.
on here? You won't even make sure the child get well.
It's
Take
so
them to
sad.
the pediatrician. Take them so they can get some medicine in them. And that's
Mm-mm-mm.
not on their agenda. That is not on their agenda. So
No.
it's mind boggling to me.
Yeah.
But it is existent. It is real. So everyone has to play their part. Everyone has to play their role. And we want so much from the instructors and the counselors, but you yourself, as the parent, is not willing to give anything.
Right.
I mean, I don't
Right.
know if it's, I don't know. I don't know. I think
It's responsibilities. It's like they have their priorities all out of place.
I
Like
mean,
they
yes.
they really do. And the truth, nobody wants to be a parent. I
And
mean, it won't.
and you don't
Nobody wants
have
to
to
be a
be.
parent.
This is
Yeah.
something else with me, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry for cutting you
Yeah.
off. That's something you opted to do.
Right.
You do not
Right.
have to be a parent. It is not mandatory for you to be
Right.
a parent, especially if
Right.
you're not going to be a hands-on parent or a
Right.
helicopter parent. If you're not going to really parent that child, or that's an option you chose.
Yeah. Yeah. And it requires sacrifice.
A
And
lot of sacrifice.
but we have such a self-centered generation that has no time for sacrifice. And so that's why we have these parents that drop off the kids sick, because that's not a priority to them. They give it to everyone else because they figure that's your job now. And they go enjoy the rest of their day. Some of them don't even work, but they go and that's not a worry on their mind. So I'm just glad I did grow up when I grew up.
I agree. I
I'm
agree.
so happy I grew up with the parents that I grew up with, and I had my mother was a mother, and when you got sick, she didn't run you to the hospital, she doctored you,
Absolutely.
and brought you back to health good, and that was what I was used to. My mother cooked every day. Is she cooked meals,
Yeah.
and it wasn't microwave things and fast food, but she cooked real food, and it was like that's the stuff I grew up with, and I wouldn't change that for work for anything else. I wouldn't want to change that for anything, especially in comparison to what I see. All the kids grow up now on chicken McNuggets and
The
chicken
the party
McNuggets.
pizzas.
Oh my god! Oh my god! It's
No.
sad. What I see is so sad. Oh my
Yeah.
god! You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get it. My
But
mom was
that's life.
I'm sorry. My mom was a stay-at-home mom as well. My dad, that's what he wanted. And so when we came home from school, dinner was ready. Dinner was ready. Um,
Yeah.
I was in one of the local stores maybe a year or so ago, and the shopping cart this young lady had was full. It was full of Roman noodles. It was full of
Oh,
pizzas. It was full of it. I know. I saw nothing yellow, nothing green.
oh my
I saw
God.
no fruit, and I was like, "Well, I sure hope they're having a party today." But but I knew in reality that is not what we were having. And I
Yeah.
was like, man, this is a bit much. This is a bit much. Well,
Wow.
hey, I think we have beat that band. I want to hear about, unless you have something else to say, I want to go to you and your acting role because we got to cover your mental health as well. Come on.
As far as acting, I do some acting. I'm going to be going more into. We actually have some reality shows that we're actually starting, and those are going to be starting in the next few weeks in Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, and so we'll be starting our filming there. And as far as like outside of that, we're taking it from there. Starting in January, we'll be doing a stage tour across 6 major cities in the US, at New York, starting in New York, and that's going to be um, starting in January. So we're that's coming from the movie that I was actually the one of the associate producers on the movie Miss Cleo, Rise of Miss Cleo, and that movie actually did really good. It was on Lifetime Movie Network as one of their premiere shows, and it actually beat out the top biopics that were out, which is, I believe, the only one that was there that was up high was the Clark sisters.
Okay.
And we surpassed them. I think we did 2.8 million viewers for the debut of the movie. And that has spent off to become a stage play slash miniature of musical in it as well. So we're working on that, and I have a movie by the name of Hush that I've written, and we've actually started filming already, and I'm acting in that movie. And that movie is actually going to be a great movie. It's a mixture of thriller, some horror. But what we do with most of the films that I write is these films always have some way we spin off to bring it back to the belief in Christ.
Okay.
So that is another great piece of work that we're working on right now. So, I'm kind of just keeping my hands in the mix, and just kind of staying busy with a lot of the work that we've been blessed with. A lot of the work that we do now is coming out of Houston, Texas. And then when it comes to the movie side of scenes, and then, as I said before, we're in Atlanta, Georgia for the actual reality shows. So it's just a lot. Just kind of, I'm juggling, and that's another one of those hats that I'm wearing.
Now, when it comes to your reality shows,
Hmm.
what can you tell us about that? I mean, is it going to be like the housewives or the house of pastor Ware? I mean,
No, actually, this is actually going to be centered around a lady by the name of Jackie Bookright. Um, and Jacqueline, she has a history, a very strong story. She actually was one of the women who she had her own talk show in Atlanta on a major network television there, and it was in competition with Oprah during the heyday of Oprah,
okay.
and she actually surpassed Oprah.
Mm,
And so her viewing actually surpassed it. So what happened was she was offered a deal, and the deal that she was offered was through NBC. And right when she got ready to go and try to pursue the deal that they give her to directly compete with Oprah's show, the network that she was doing locally would not release her footage. They kept it because they did not want her to leave their network. So she ended up in the fight for that, she lost her son.
Mm,
So it kind of threw her life completely off balance. Well,
sure.
she had a great turnaround to her entire life. Was blessed tremendously. Um, and so she has a restaurant called The Porch, and it's located in South Georgia, about 3 hours outside of Atlanta. And so she is actually doing a reality show that's based around The Porch, which is a restaurant that is primary. It has a goal and mission to it, and there's a lot of big cameos, big names that are stopping into this restaurant to visit. And it's a really good story behind it. She's a believer. She hires a lot of people who are, I guess, recovering um, addicts and things of that nature. And this is a ministry based reality show, but it's going to have its twists and turns, of course. We're going to be partial of it is South Georgia, and partial is being filmed in Atlanta itself. So it's going to be one of those situations that kind of gives you a little bit of spice, just because we need it for reality TV.
You
But
have to have it.
you gotta have that to keep everybody on the edge of their seat, but it's gonna be respectful. And you're gonna see a lot of ministry moments in it that drops a seed, and that's kind of like the angle that we're using on it.
Okay. The porch, and you say it's about 3 hours away from Atlanta.
Yes,
Okay, three
yes,
hours south. Okay.
yeah. So if you guys ever come down that direct down into South Georgia, y'all make sure I will get you the address, and y'all make sure y'all stop in. The food is outrageous. Outrageous. I mean,
Great.
really,
Great.
yeah. So it's definitely a spot you want to put on your list to stop in and check out.
Okay, will do.
Yeah.
Now, you're on the New York Times bestseller, and that's where your story can be found. Tell
Yes.
us about Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, Broken Wing.
Chicken soup. It's funny because I did not know that a segment of my life story was put into this book. So I just started hearing a buzz around town that people were talking about the book that I'm in. And I was like, what book? And everybody's like, the book is everywhere. It's in Barnes and Nobles, it's in all these different stores. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not even hearing about it. So I finally got a chance to check it out. And it was I had a chance. I had a actual coming out of uh I would say coming out of high school, I actually had an opportunity to interact with a program called ACE. And it stood for Achieving Community Excellence. I was involved, as I spoke with you a little bit about before. I was involved in a lot of things when in my younger days that were not appealing to what my walk is today. I had a really diverse background. It was really crazy. Um, I got into a lot of things that I shouldn't have been involved with, a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs, a lot of things of that nature. I never did drugs, but I sold drugs. And so I did a lot of things. So I met a guy, um, and his name was Jim Houlihan, and he had a program that actually was a program that it took children on retreats. It took people on retreats, and when you went on a retreat, you would go and interact with others that you would never interact with. Um, so the story actually tells the story of my life when I met him, and how after going to some of these retreats, it changed the way I thought about a lot of people and interacted with people. And it turned me from being a person who was often talked about negatively it gave me the opportunity to see something different in myself. And I began to be more of a leader. And I had a lot of people start to follow me for all the right reasons. And that kind of opened the door for many years beyond school. I began to do trainings across the country as a spokesperson for that organization. And I would go and travel for many years, just getting meeting children who were in high school, these young adults, and changing their lives by taking them on the journey that I went on. And it kind of like set the tone for me to do a lot of the things that I was I would say it kind of set the foundation for me to really begin to see myself as more than just the guy who came from the background he came from. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what that story was all about. So it struck it actually got a lot of attention. And it was one of the books that was seen on Oprah. Oprah actually covered that story in the book, and it became a New York Times bestseller, Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul. So that's what that was all about.
Well, congratulations for that as well.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Now, when did you become a mental health advocate? And tell me about that journey.
You know what? It wasn't until it took after it took me being married after my marriage. It was a lot of things I never knew I did. A lot of my reactions, the way that I responded to things. A lot of times you believe that you're okay in a lot of ways. And so when I got married, my wife really continued to say, we should go speak to someone. We should have therapy. We should go to therapy. And I was against it totally at that time because for me, I thought that, nothing's wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's the first thought people kind of have.
Sure.
Like, what are you saying? Saying something's wrong with me? You know what I'm saying? And so she began um, to say, I really don't, it's not about something being wrong with you, but I believe you should sort out why you respond to the way you respond to things and sort out, you're a great person, but sort out some of these things that you don't understand, that you don't see could actually harm people, like from your responses and how you talk and things of that nature. So I began going, and of course, at first, like, none of this stuff is helping me. You know what I'm saying? And none of this stuff is like, I don't see the purpose to any of this, so, but we continue to go. And slowly I began to realize that the need for therapy was not that someone could fix you. The need was so that you could really hear yourself and you could begin to ask the questions and really reflect on why do you do the things you do in life and why are your core beliefs and uh the way that you react and the way that you think in life, why do you think that way? And I realized that there were so many things that happened to me throughout my childhood, a lot of traumas and things that I had never addressed, things that were really causing a lot of conflicts with me in adulthood. And then when I realized all of the relationships, whether friendships or whether it was girlfriends or just friendships in general, all of the relationships that I've had that did not work out or I just totally walked away from with no issue and no worries. I could easily walk away and forget people exist. You know what I'm saying? Like and there was a reason and there was a foundation to where that came from. But it wasn't until I really took the time out to to go to therapy and begin to open up and talk about these things and then reflect on why, and then use the principles and the steps that were necessary to sort it out and begin to put in healthy responses, healthy measures that were needed that would help me become better in ways of dealing with others and relationships. And I think that was not. I think I know that that was the best thing. So this is how I kind of gotten to where I am now. I'm an advocate because I do realize that the majority of people who think that life is not fair, or they believe that their world is crumbling down and there's nothing they can do about it. I really do believe that the majority of people just don't know how great they really can be and how much power they really do have to change and turn things around. But it takes a matter of take an honest look at where you've come from and understanding that the things that you've been through wasn't your fault to go through a lot of those things, but knowing that, hey, I need to face these things in order for me to become healthy and heal from these things so that I can put out a better version of myself and live in a better version of life than what I've been living in with this dark cloud hanging over my head all of this time. So I try my best now to talk to people and encourage them, especially a lot of men and couples, that it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to have a sense or a form of vulnerability and be able to really be freed from what you think is the norm. So that's kind of where this journey has come from. And I would say just from my own growth in life. And so I can't help but want to help others and advocate for others who a lot of people have written them off, and advocate for mental health so that they can work on these things before ultimately they become their demise. If you don't deal with things sooner or later, it's like one of my biggest thoughts of life is that if you have cancer on your pinky toe, you can ignore it as long as you want. But one day, what you didn't deal with on the smallest member of your body will eventually take over and you'll succumb to it.
Absolutely.
So that's where the whole mental health thing comes from.
Oh, because it was a benefit to you.
Yes.
I'm a nurse by profession, and I've had several people to come to me. Do you think I need to see a counselor? I mean, just out of the blue. And I was like, yes. What's wrong? You think something wrong with me? I'm like, no. I see, you asked the question. When people ask the question, they want an answer. And there is nothing wrong with seeing a therapist.
Right.
If you're, like you said, if your pinky toe is hurting, you're going to run into the doctor about that. So if your heart is hurting, if your mind is hurting, you need to seek treatment or just talk it out.
Yes.
Because if you go to your family, they don't want you to cry. They're going, oh, don't cry.
Right.
That therapist is going to let you just wallow all on that sofa or on the floor and give you those Kleenexes, because guess what? You need to release some of that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I never asked them if they went, but I feel as though they did.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And that's all you can do is try.
It.
And sometimes people just need someone familiar.
I agree.
To actually speak and say it's okay. They just need somebody familiar to push them.
I,
Yeah, it just that's it. And because a lot of times I've noticed this with men, they don't want to say, they don't want to say that they want to go. They don't want to admit that they thought about it. They kind of try to have a macho feel to themselves. But then when another man says it, and you let a man say it, and they say it's okay, you know what I'm saying? You should go. You know, you'll see immediately a response that's different, and it's like, you know what, I might go ahead and go. Instead it's a different response, and it's like they need to see that familiar person, someone that they feel like, that they know somewhat and they can trust. And when you give them that, I would say that statement that just makes them feel like it's okay. And you'd be surprised how many people will actually go. But a lot of people are afraid. I don't know why so many people are afraid of that word, or the thought of mental health. You know what I mean? Like they're afraid, and it's like it's a stigma attached to it that somebody's going to tell you you're crazy if you have to go talk to someone.
well, I
And
think it goes back, and I apologize. I think it goes
right,
back to when we were little and we couldn't sit in the adult conversation or near the adult conversation.
yeah,
There were a lot of things they kept from us, such as, oh, she just acts that way. That's
oh yeah,
and no one sought help for anyone. They just
right,
accepted the fact that that's just how she's having a bad day or he's having a bad day. Well, when you look back, that person really needed to probably be on some medication,
yeah, yeah,
or to talk to someone about some things.
yeah, yeah,
And so they don't want that stigma in the family
yeah,
that that's what's going on. But
yeah.
it doesn't take much. Pressure bust a pipe is what I often tell people, and that's not a new saying, but I say that when it comes to mental health.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I say it when it comes to your physical health. If you don't turn some things around, if you don't stop doing this, if you don't start taking your medication for your blood pressure, eventually it's going to lead to a worse outcome. So you need to catch it while you can. And
yeah,
I've had patients say, "Oh, little Missy, you don't know what you're talking about." And I've been like, "Yeah, I do," because I
yeah,
work with this every day.
yeah,
A lot of people just don't want to admit that they're vulnerable. They don't want to admit that they're human. They just want to be who they are. But something's going to give at a certain point in time. And when you feel that pressure coming in, you either need to take a mental health break, seriously walk away, or find someone to communicate with.
yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You better. What you don't deal with will eventually deal with you.
Now that is so true. That is so true. Like you said, that cancer that's on that pinky toe is going
Yeah.
to eventually deal with you because you left it unguarded.
Right.
you,
Right.
you left it unguarded, so it is free to roam wherever it goes.
Yeah. You didn't want to look at it.
No,
You
you
didn't
didn't
want
want
to
to look at it.
acknowledge it. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be all right.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, well, 6 months to a year, maybe even 6 years later, you're not good.
Right.
You're not good because you
Right.
let it fester.
Yes.
Which is a word from back in the day. You let it fester. That's exactly what it did. It is festering.
That's right.
So we need
Yes.
to take care of ourselves from our head to our toe.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that will benefit us the most. One of my friends was going through some things and she said, I'm coming off social media. I'm like, do what you got to do. It's too much, it's just too much. And not that there appeared to be any drama I saw on her page or
Mhm.
anything, but just the the weight of it all, the pressures of it all,
Yes.
anything can get to you.
Yeah.
And so where you see that you need to take a step back, take that step back. As I have told family members and friends who have come up to me, do you think I need to see a therapist? And I'm like, sure. And we're like, why do you say that? That's because you act. Just like a person who have asked me, do you think I need a second opinion before I have this surgery? I was like, sure. Why you say that? I trust my doctor. I said, anytime you have doubt, it's
Right.
okay to ask for a second opinion.
Right.
I don't want to make him mad. I said, it's your body.
It's your body.
It's
Yeah.
your body. And if he is worth his salt as being a physician, he's not going to mind you getting a second opinion.
Right.
And then
Right.
you still have to understand it's your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever you
Absolutely.
think you may need in a healthy sense that's going to add to your quality of life, let's get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah. Absolutely right. It's so much, and our it's just our families have throughout time, so many things were done out of ignorance.
I agree.
And yeah, and it's just, we can't, it's so many, you know, it's so many things that we deal with daily. And we have to really approach things realistically. And like, even with the social media piece, my thought process always goes to the fact that it's so many things that we were not built for.
I agree.
We just weren't built for it. And a lot of the depression that people are dealing with now comes from too much access. And when you have access to so much information every day on social medias, you go from happy things to sad things to horrific things in the swipe of a finger. And your body, your mind doesn't even realize you before you know it, your whole mood can have shifted and go. You could be happy when you pick that phone up before by the time you put it down, you're exhausted mentally
You are.
because you just took a trip through so many different people's emotions have just fell on you, and you don't even realize that you just picked up all of these different people's emotions, like sad people, happy people, you know what I'm saying? Like crying people, it's death, everything you see. Well, it was never meant for us to be able to see that many. Do you remember when we were younger, um, in neighborhoods that were smaller? Where people knew each other. If
Absolutely.
someone died, we used to say, death came in threes because someone would die that you knew. And then it was like, it seemed like three people would end up dying that you knew, and then after that, you didn't hear about death for a while, it seemed like.
That's true.
But just think about now, every morning, if you open your phone, there's a new RIP. There's a new person that they're saying, rest in peace. A
Mm-hmm.
new person died. And so there was so much less, there was a lot less stress and uh I would say depression back then, because we didn't really come into contact with so much negativity
Competition.
and
So much
competition.
competition.
Oh, life is just like, so people get on and they gauge themselves according to what they see other people have. They gauge themselves according to their life. They measure it according to other people. And man, if you don't think that stuff is beating people up mentally, it's outrageous when you look at the numbers in comparison to the numbers of depression now compared to even 10 years ago. The numbers are much higher. So people are dealing with so many things mentally. Like you really do need some mental health breaks off of social media. I mean, just my children alone, I took their phones completely away from them. They haven't
Mm-hmm.
had their phones in a while.
Yeah.
And because I noticed, like especially with my daughter, that she was coming too attached to it, and her mood swings were changing.
Sure.
And she's only what 10 years old now. And I'm
Hmm.
like, no, you don't need all of that stuff in your life.
Yeah.
That's way too much for you. Like, so I took it away. And my 13-year-old son, I took his away too. I was like, it's too much focus, too much addiction stuck to it, but then also mood changes. And I'm noticing that like none of that was present before this. So we really do have to watch what we do. The ignorance of the past was that we just didn't want to face things. But we become better in so many other ways in life with technology of evolving in life. Why can't we evolve in this area of facing the things that we know are not healthy for us and doing something different? So I give her kudos. If she can take a break and get off that, so if she can't what she can't handle, get off. Get
I agree.
off. You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
Get off it, leave it alone.
Hmm.
And you gotta know. You gotta really do pay attention to yourself. You know what I mean? Like you gotta pay attention to what's going on in your mind and in your body. You gotta to gauge it. And like, man, I'm feeling different. When it's too much for me. You gotta know when it's too much
Yeah.
and pull away, you
I
know?
agree. I've had a
Yeah.
couple of friends that said I had to take a break, and I was like, "Good for you." And
Yeah.
that's the end of the conversation. Unless they want to talk about it some more, that's the end of the conversation. And people will come to me. Did you see this? Did you see this? I said, "Babe, I
Oh,
hadn't had time.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm
I
trying
haven't
to tell
had
you.
time. I'm
Oh
not.
my God.
It's too much." I said,
I'm
"You
telling you.
calling me is getting to be a little bit too much." So I'm not chasing that down. Sometimes you just need to let it go. I
I'm trying to
remember when 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 9/11 hit, um, my husband said, "They're not telling us everything." I said, "It's nothing we could do about it if they did.
nothing.
We don't
Nothing.
have the capability of doing anything."
Listen, nothing. And
So the less we know, the better off we
I'm trying to tell you.
you
And
know.
I have people telling me, man, they just found out it was this happening on Mars. I'm like, on Mars? Like, bro, I can't even control what's happening in my neighborhood.
I
Y'all worried
know.
about Mars, what the scientists are hiding. I don't care about none of that stuff. I'm like, God knows everything. I'm gonna keep my trust in God. The less I know, the better in a lot of situations. I'm telling you, it's so much better.
I agree with
So
you.
much better.
And Mars. And I've heard that too. I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
walk away.
yeah.
I'm like,
You
I'm
can't do
I'm
nothing about it
done.
anyway. I
I'm
mean,
done. I'm on planet Earth, and I
yeah,
plan on staying here, and I'm good. I'm good.
yes,
I'm good. So
yeah,
we have
yeah,
to you have to limit it, and then you have to use a little common
yeah.
sense with it. What can
I'm
we do
telling you.
about it? Nothing.
I'm telling. I had a friend ask me the other day. A friend, no, no joke. A friend asked me the other day, "Hey, man, could you imagine? Scientists are talking about traveling around the sun. Could you imagine what's behind it?" I'm like, why? I'm confused. Why would I wonder that? Like, that's to me is like the last thing I'm worried about. Like, I this that's not even on my radar. Like, it's so many things to worry about. And I think this is what happens to people in life. I think people are really missing the opportunity to live
I
right
agree.
now because their time is being stolen by things that make no sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have that quality of life, and not don't show it for the vine. I mean, your quality of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you only want to sit in your backyard
Yeah.
and read a book, that's
I'm
your
okay with it.
quality of life. You don't have to go to the Dominican Republic to
Come
have
on
a
now.
quality
Come
of
on.
life.
Come on.
And you're doing that for the vine. Now, that may
But
be
that,
one of your dreams, on your bucket list or whatever you want to call it, but just make sure it's your quality of life that you're more concerned with.
right.
And you'll do better. I think you'll have
Right.
a better quality of life that way. But
You
when
have
you're
a
trying,
better bank account.
Yes. You can't spend somebody else's money. Let it go.
Come on, for real.
you know,
Yeah,
so people they are something. They
yeah,
are something. We can be a bit much, but
yeah.
we don't. As one of my instructors when I was in junior high, he said people will they will pay for their wants, but they won't pay for their needs.
Come on.
And I was like, we're in the eighth, ninth grade. I was like, what does that
Yeah,
mean? Well, okay, that phrase stuck with me. And as
yeah.
I grew up, and I heard some of my coworkers say, I'm not paying that bill. And I was like, why not? They got more money than I. Jesus. And see, my dad
uh,
was huge. Pay your bills, pay them on time, keep your name clean. All you got is
yeah,
da 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 da. And those
yeah.
things ring true to this day.
Yes, they do.
So that's where my focus is keeping all of that together.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
about overspending, showing you what I have, because it really
That's it.
doesn't matter. I'm the one walking away with the bill.
Right. And that's what most people are focused on. They're focused on everybody, what they see
But they
from them. And I see it all the time. Like they even mess up couples. Like I'm telling you, this all stems around mental health because it really does make you sick mentally
It does.
trying
It's
to
just
live
mental
up
health.
to these big time unrealistic things that social media and people are putting on people through social media. It's like, don't don't get a man unless the man, your husband or your man, can take you on trips like these to make memories. And I'm like saying to myself, do you understand that? You do understand that if we don't travel to make memories, we could still be happy, right? I
Absolutely.
mean, if we don't go spend all that money to take pictures, and I remember my mom before she passed away. My dad had passed away much earlier than my mom, and she had Alzheimer's, and she developed Alzheimer's, and she had like about four different pictures in her pocket, and she would every few moments she would take the pictures out and she would look through each picture and she would say the exact same thing when she got to certain pictures. But it was this one picture she would see my dad on and she goes, "Oh, my butterbean," and she would laugh. And then she would flip through the rest of the pictures and then she'll put them in her pocket again. And I'm thinking to myself, imagine if she spent her whole life trying to make memories,
Sure.
spending money trying to make memories. And at the end, none of that mattered.
It doesn't.
The only thing that mattered was the fact that you had someone in your life that you call Butterbean. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
made you
sure.
laugh
Yeah.
even
That made
now.
you
You see what
happy.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely.
That one thing, you had someone who was present in your life. And I think people put unrealistic things on some of the best people that could have been the best people that they had in their life, that would have stayed with them, cherished them, treated them good, and just wanted to be there because it was them. But because they couldn't afford the unrealistic things, they missed out on people that could have been a blessing. You know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying? In the long run. And
I agree.
that's the stuff I look at. Like that kind of stuff but it takes a certain amount of maturity and time before people, a lot of people get to that. But I just really do look at life realistically. I like to look at life realistically. I know that I only have a certain amount of time here. And I know that I don't need to cloud my time with things that at the end of the day won't matter.
I
I
agree.
want to I want to spend time with the people that matter,
That
and I
matters.
want to do the things that matter in life and will matter in life to other people's lives when as they will remember what I've said to them or have done for them for the rest of their life. Other than that, I try my best not to overstress myself with things that can't be sustained or will never won't be here forever. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
I agree. I agree.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah.
As I said at the beginning, it's God's perfect timing. And a
Yes.
lot of times we're trying to rush. what we want to have so we can call someone up and tell them.
What you got?
I'd be on the other end like, are you kidding me now? Are you kidding me? I could care less. And then some people are, girl, I ain't got time for that kind of foolishness. No, I don't have time for that type of foolishness. It's silly to me, and I'm not saying that, I got it all together, but my word,
Yeah.
I know one thing, I don't want to cloud my mind with too much silliness.
I know that's right.
No, I don't. I don't. And it's okay. It is quite okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes, capacity overload. We just need to dial it back.
Yes.
We just need to dial it back.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
I agree.
well, Pastor Ware, I have truly enjoyed having you on as a guest. Do you have any parting things, parting words for us?
Well, I just say thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed it. And I hope that your listeners will enjoy the segment of us speaking. I just truly believe at the end of the day that what we've said will matter to a lot of people. And I'm praying that uh, people can take this with them and it will increase some form of quality to their journey in life and help them in a lot of ways. That's my prayer. And I just want to say once again, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it so much.
Well, we received that prayer. I was going to ask you to pray anyway, so we received that. You're more than welcome. I will be following everything that you're doing.
Thank you. So
and Gentry's Journey audience will do the same. So you have a wonderful day, and I do appreciate you and all that you do. You're so talented. You're allowing God to use you in so many various capacities. And that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. You have a great day too, and be blessed. And I wish you the best with everything. And I'll be looking out for everything that you're popping out as well. So make sure you tag me as you go.
I will. All right. Thank you so much. I'll definitely do that.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye.